So we're going to be running some downspouts to a French drain. We're taking all this water to the storm drain. We got 3 downspouts. And this is some ugly clay. When you're installing underground buried downspouts and you have a sprinkler system, the game does change quite a bit. Now, as far as a downspout, you take off the 90 or cut it off, pending if it's screwed on or just part of the actual downspout, and just go ahead and slip your leaf filter on. You can actually put this whole assembly together. This is a pro kit, so we're going to put a riser on and not quite a 90 and then hook up the line. But there's no sprinkler lines up against the house. You're not going to hit any sprinklers up against the house. As a side note, you want your leaf filter to slide on the downspout to where the downspout overlaps the blue screen up top. The downspout needs to come down to the top of the door opening. We don't want it to leak any water where the top meets the housing. So we had to hand dig through here. We have a bunch of sprinkler mains, but we're going to be able to pull the 3.5-inch pipe underneath all these sprinkler mains. These are 2x3 downspouts. We're going to tie 3 of them together on one 3.5-inch main pipe. Now, to pull an underground buried downspout line through sprinkler mains, you can't use a 4-inch pipe. You need to go to a 3.5-inch pipe, and we'll show you all that later in this video. Now, with our kit, the not quite a 90 for the leaf filter has a male adapter that goes to the 3.5-inch pipe. You just snap that on and go ahead and seal that up. Then put it in place. You should be all set with your fit up at the house. Now you just have to measure your pipe and cut it where your catch basin is located. Put your catch basin no more than 4 feet off of where your leaf filter is, your down pipe. Always connect this pipe to the female adapter on the catch basin. The other side of the catch basin will have a male adapter. You want to tape up and seal all connections as you assemble. It's going to be 10 times harder to go back later and do it after you fully assemble the kit. So be sure to tape all the connections as you make those connections. When you're taping the catch basin, make sure it's directly up and down so that it doesn't end up crooked or sideways. Take some dirt and make sure the leaf filter is nice and straight. Put that dirt on both sides of the line. Go ahead and work some of that dirt tight so that now everything's in place. Before you permanently set your catch basin, you need to make sure that you have this done. Now, unless you have a relative in the sprinkler business, I highly recommend you hand dig. If you know all your main lines are coming through, you need to hand dig. Now, how you can tell if you got a bunch of sprinkler lines, this is the valve box. You're going to have all the different zones on different valves. That's why it's called a valve box. If you got 6 zones on your sprinkler clock, you're going to have 6 valves, 6 main lines feeding a network of sprinklers. That box is going to have basically the heart and soul of your sprinkler system. So here's your water feed. We know that we're dealing with mains. You got that bell housing right there, the vacuum breaker. Come over here, you got your valve box, you got mains. You want to hand dig when you're going through mains. You don't want to run a trencher through here, you don't want to take a mini excavator through here. So Cal did a really good job. He actually found 4 sprinkler mains. These are all mains. You got a main here, got a main here. This main actually has valve wire. You can see the harness there. So you definitely don't want to cut that. You make triple the headache. Then here's the 4th main. 4 mains running down the side of the house, working their way throughout the yard. Just because you rented a mini excavator or a trencher doesn't mean you don't have to take a shovel and dig in a few areas. You don't want to take a perfectly good sprinkler system and just have to splice a bunch of line that wasn't necessary if you were a little patient and just hand dug an area. You want to be careful when you have an underground buried irrigation system. It's really costly if you go through it with a trencher. It's even more expensive to repair if you go through it with an excavator, because when you hook the pipe with the excavator bucket and you don't realize you hooked the pipe and you go ahead and lift the arm up, it's going to pull the line out of the ground. It'll come off of a fitting from 40 feet away, and you will not know where that's at. All right, this 3.5-inch pipe, you can pull under sprinkler line. You cannot do this with a 4-inch pipe. You have to cut all the sprinkler lines. Why do we know this? Well, we've been installing for 40 years. The 3.5-inch pipe allows you to go through the sprinklers, through the utilities. We wanted a 3.5-inch pipe our whole career. Nobody was going to build us a 3.5-inch pipe. It was clear. When I would take it to pipe manufacturers, their philosophy was, well, I don't see why we would build that, because we have a 3-inch pipe, and if that's too small, we have a 4-inch pipe. Well, let me explain the gallons per minute. On 1% slope, a single wall corrugated pipe in 3-inch flows 34 gallons per minute. A 3.5 flows 52 gallons per minute on a 1% slope. If you get 1.5%, the numbers boost. You get 2%, numbers boost. I absolutely love that number, 52 gallons per minute for yard drainage. That's the sweet spot. I want to flow as much water as I can possibly flow through a pipe before I jump up in size. The 4-inch pipe was not necessary in yard drainage, with the exception of mains. When you're branching a system into a trunk line, that trunk line needs to be 4-inch, typically speaking, unless you have 2 or 3 downspouts, because if that's all you have is 2 or 3, you might as well just put it on a 3.5, even the main. But once you get to 4 downspouts, you want to be bumping it to a 4-inch main. Look, the numbers don't lie, only people do. That's what I always say. When I do the calculations of rooftop water on homes, the 3.5-inch pipe is ideal because you're going to push enough water through it to keep it clean. A 4-inch pipe is too much area for most downspouts. So what you end up with is the water hitting a pipe of greater area, spreading over that great area, slowing down, losing its velocity, and now it no longer pushes debris out to the pop-up emitter. The 3.5 stays cleaner, it works more efficient, and it's 50% less labor to install. Cal got that 3.5-inch pipe underneath all the sprinkler mains. There's 4 mains there. You don't want to have to cut them and reroute them. You don't want to have to splice them. And if you cut the harness, if you cut the wiring harness that goes to your valves, and it goes from your valves to your clock, that becomes a real nightmare, and especially for a homeowner. So Cal's putting some fabric underneath the catch basin. He dug the hole really deep. This catch basin is sitting suspended because the hole's so deep. When you pour the pea stone, it's just going to roll under the catch basin. You don't want to pick it up. Cal's got his foot on the pipe for a reason. He wants to keep the pipe down on the trench. If you lift this catch basin up, or if you let the stone lift this catch basin up, and that pipe comes off of the bottom of the trench right here, you're all done. Now the catch basin's too high. You got a belly between the downspout and the catch basin. So now the catch basin doesn't catch your shingle gravel. your pipe does in the belly. That's what that looks like. So Cal's going to keep his foot on the pipe while he backfills. He doesn't want the dirt to push the pipe out of alignment. And then dirt will roll under the pipe, and again, you'll end up with a belly somewhere else. The catch basin forms a belly. That's why it catches all the shingle gravel. That's why it works so well. We carefully thought about each and every component in this downspout kit. This is the Pro kit. I built the Pro kit because I like to run a camera through the system. I like to run a hose that's running water down, let it hit the not quite a 90, push the hose past the not quite a 90 because it has a ramped corner and it's not really a 90. It's already sloped. And now with the hose running water, I'm pushing it to the catch basin. Now I know the catch basin has all the shingle gravel in it. That's why I built the Pro kit. People want to know why I built the Pro kit? That's the number one reason right there. I had an easy DIY kit 10 on my house, and you just can't get the hose through that soft sweeping 90 like you can the not quite a 90. Big difference. I still recommend for homeowners just run a kit 10. There's a few more pieces to measure and cut and a couple more components to tape. It does make it a lot easier when you install the easy DIY. A lot of people really love a straight pipe up against their house, so the Pro kit will do that. This is an absolute beaut. All these components, including the pipe, were designed specifically for roof runoff drainage and yard drainage. I can give my homeowner a lifetime warranty, lifetime, for however long they live in this house. This system will be warranted by us. We got the PVC, extra stretchy, extra sticky, just insane quality of tape that's rated to last 200 years. All these components are virgin HDPE. The pipe is not recycled material. It's all virgin HDPE. So is the catch basin. So is the leaf filter. So is not quite a 90. So are the couplers on the catch basin. So are the fasteners. Everything is a virgin HDPE. No recycled materials in this system. Now, this system, the HDPE portions of this system, it's rated to last 200 to 500 years. They're uncertain just at what point this HDPE will fail. But know this, it'll outlive all of us. I can have a 23-year-old first-time home buyer and look him in the eye and say, this is a lifetime system. You'll never have to do anything else ever again. This is it. If he lived in that house for the rest of his life, this system would serve him that entire time. Now, what downspout system can you say that about? I don't know of any. I show you the failure in all these parts that are sitting in these big box stores on the shelves. They were designed by packaging engineers so that they could fit on a shelf, as many of them as possible. We didn't think like that. We thought, how can we make it the very best it could be? We're not going to think like a packaging engineer. That's not what we were worried about. That wasn't our concern. All right, everybody, if you like the kits that we're building for the homeowners and the contractors, give us a thumbs up. It supports what we're doing. I'm your host, Robert Sherwood, and until the next video.